wrote a biography on Lord Chaitanya entitled Sri Chaitanya Mangal, and he wrote many devotional songs that we just hear one of them. Lochandas Thakur took birth in a family of Rahiya physicians who resided in the village of Kogram within the Mahakumar Katna district of Bardhaman, and his guru was Sri Narhari Sarkar Thakur. I am the servant of Thakur Sri Narhari, who is the master of my life, the desire of all my desires. I place at his lotus feet, which is that these wild creatures, myself, might describe something about the wonderful qualities of Sri Gaura Sundar. In this expectation, he is my only refuge, Chaitanya Mangal. His father's name was Sri Kamalkar Das, and his mother's name was Sri Sadanand. He was the only son of his parents. He was raised in his maternal grandfather's home, and his education was completed there. When he was only a little boy, he enjoyed the good fortune of meeting the devotees of Sri Gauranga. He was married at a very young age. From his youth, he was very attached to Sri Gaura Sundar and consequently very disinterested in material life. Though he was surrounded by family, friends, and society. In his youth, he spent the major part of his time at his guru's Shripad, Srikhanda, where he learned how to do kirtan. The book that he composed, Chaitanya Mangal, was from the diary of Sri Murari Gupta. Quote, Murari Gupta, who resided at Nadia, composed many beautiful verses about the life of Sri Gauranga. These include the youthful pastime of Nimai, which Murari Gupta personally took part in, and his later pastime in Nilachal, after he accepted sannyas, which were narrated by Sri Damodar Pandit. Having heard these verses of Murari Gupta composed in Sanskrit, I have become very attracted, and so I have composed them in the village folk poetry meter of Bengali, unquote. In his Chaitanya Mangal, Srila Lochandas Thakur has written, quote, My hope of hopes is to be near the lotus feet of Sri Narhari Thakur, to show and worship him with my very life. The cherished desire of the fallen Lochandas is to be allowed by the grace of Narhari to sing the glories of Sri Gauranga. My Lord is Sri Narhari Thakur, and I am his servant. Bowing and praying before him, I beg him to allow me his service. This is my only aspiration. What a wonderful example. When you surrender to your Guru, your life should be completely dedicated for the mission of your Guru Maharaj. And then we will see how the mercy flow. Previously in Bengal, especially East Bengal, now Bangladesh, the poets used to compose and sacred song and verses in different forms of classic rhymes and rhythmic meters called Panchali, such as Lakshmir Panchali, Sanir Panchali, and Manasa Bhasan. The Panchali style of composition was especially used for glorifying the Lord. Srila Lochan Das Thakur used the Panchali form of verse meter in composing his famous work, Sri Chaitanya Mangal. The Panchali form employs 5 different kinds of song style or meters. The principal source material that was drawn upon by Sri Lochan Das Thakur in composing his Chaitanya Mangal was a Sanskrit book by Murari Gupta called Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam. Lochan Das Thakur explained this in his Chaitanya Mangal as follows. Quote, that very Murari Gupta, who lived in Nadia, composed many Sanskrit verses about the life of Sri Gauranga, which he later arranged in the form of a book. Having heard these verses from Murari Gupta, Damodar Pandit taught them to me, and I memorized them with great delight. As these Sanskrit verses and the conceptions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu imparted to me through Damodar Pandit developed within my mind, it flowed forth from me in the form of these Panchali verses in Bengali, which I write in glorification of the life and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya. In his preface to the Chaitanya Mangal, Srila Lochan Das Thakur offered his praise to Vrindavan Das Thakur. Before proceeding with the narrative, he says, quote, I offer my prayers of submission to Vrindavan Das Thakur with all my heart. The sweet song of his Chaitanya Bhagavat has enchanted the whole world. Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat was originally called Chaitanya Mangal. It is said that Srila Lochan Das Thakur and Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami gave it the name Chaitanya Bhagavat. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami writes as follows. Krishna Lila Bhagavati Kahe Veda Vyas Chaitanya Lila Ravyasa Vrindavana Das. Ved Vyas has described the pastime of Krishna in his Bhagavat. The Vyas of Chaitanya Lila is Vrindavan Das. From this comparison between Ved Vyas and Vrindavan Das, it has been concluded that Kaviraj Goswami is probably responsible for Vrindavan Das Thakur's work becoming known as the Bhagavat of Chaitanya Lila or Chaitanya Bhagavat. There are many pastimes of Chaitanya that have only been touched on briefly by Vrindavan Das Thakur. These are described in detail in the Chaitanya Mangal of Lochan Das Thakur. The Chaitanya Mangal is divided into 4 parts, like nectar of devotion. Sutra Khanda, Adi Khanda, Madhyama Khanda, and Shesa Khanda. The Sutra Khanda has 2 chapters. Adi Khanda has 7 chapters. Madhyama Khanda 12 and Shesa Khanda 3. The content of the Adi Khanda are as follows. The first chapter is the Sutra Khanda is called Mangalacharanam or auspicious invocation. It begins with a song of the glories of Sri Chaitanya and then praises the Vaishnavas who were personal associates of Sri Chaitanya. After this, Lochan Thakur offered respect to his Gurudev Narhari Sarkar Thakur and prays for his Guru's mercy. He offers his obeisances at the lotus feet of the countless devotees and personal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known and unknown. Having prayed for the blessings of Guru and Vaishnavas, Lochan explains that Murari Gupta had written a book in Sanskrit called the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that since that book is no longer available, he is giving its essence in the form of a Bengali verse called Panchali. He then briefly described the subjects found in the Adi, Madhya, and Shesa Khandas. The second chapter of the Sutra Khanda is called Grantha Rambha. For here, the book actually begins. In this chapter, Lochan relates how he heard from Damodar Pandit the story of Jaimini's Mahabharata recital, wherein he described a conversation between Narada and Uddhava. In that conversation, Narada explained the cause of Krishna's appearance in the golden form of Sri Gauranga. One time, Narada saw that with the coming of the age of Kali, the living beings had fallen into great suffering. He began to worry about how they could be delivered and the principle of Dharma restored. Thinking in this way, he decided that only Krishna's descent into this world would deliver the fallen souls and restore the principle of religion. Wanting to appeal to Krishna to descend as an avatar, he set out for Dwarka Dham. At that time, Krishna was staying in the palace of Sri Rukmini Devi. Just then, upon learning that Sri Krishna would soon appear on earth in a golden form, with the golden luster and devotional mood of Radharani, Rukmini Devi became deeply troubled. Feeling separation from the Lord, she fell at the lotus feet of Krishna and began praising the qualities of Sri Radha, whose devotion was so glorious that Krishna wanted to honor her by assuming her luster and mood. At that time, Narada entered the room. He explained to Krishna the reason for his trip, that he wanted Krishna to descend to the earth planet in order to deliver the fallen souls. At that time, Krishna revealed to him how in the future he would appear as the son of Sachidevi and Jagannath Mishra in Navadvip Dham, in a golden form with all his transcendental associates. Having seen that golden form revealed, Narad was overwhelmed with ecstasy, constantly thinking of this golden form and the Lord's plan to appear in Navadvip Dham as Sri Gauranga. Narad, the best of Munis, went to visit Naimisaranya, all the while singing the glories of the Lord. There, in answer to Uddhava's inquiries about the welfare of the living beings, he explained how in Kali Yuga, the best of all ages, because of Sri Gauranga's advent, Krishna would appear in a golden form as Sri Gauranga and perform the kirtan of the holy name of Hari. Narada told Uddhava how the Lord would come to establish the Sankirtan of the holy name of Krishna as the Yuga Dharma, the religious principle for the age of Kali. Narad explained the glories of Kirtan. Thereafter, Narad Muni related to Uddhava the discussion that had previously taken place when he had gone to Kailas and visited Lord Shiva, the best of Vaishnavas. There, Narad and Parvati discussed the glories of Mahaprasad. Having heard of the glories of the Mahaprasad from Narada, Parvati had performed 12 years of Lakshmi Seva, and by her mercy, Parvati got some of Lakshmi Devi's own Mahaprasad and also gave Shiva a small bit of that prasad. Not able to tolerate the dancing of Lord Shiva upon obtaining this Mahaprasad, the earth came before Parvati, begging her to give the Mahaprasad of the Vaishnavas to all the Jivas. With this proposal, Parvati explained how the Gaura avatar would come in Kali Yuga and distribute Mahaprasad to all the fallen souls. Hari Bol. After this, Narad went to Brahma and discussed the Gaura avatar with him. Brahma, the creator at that time, explained to him the essential subject of the Srimad Bhagavatam and showed him how the version of the Bhagavatam supported the Gaura avatar. After this, Narada began wandering here and there, and as he went from place to place, he became concerned about the suffering of the Jivas. As he was worrying about the living entities in this way, he came near Jagannath Puri. There he heard a divine voice discussing the avatar of Jagannath. On the order of the divine voice, he went to Puri. From there, the Lord ordered him to go to Goloka. First, he came to Vaikuntha. After this, he arrived in Goloka, where he saw many pastimes of the Lord. There he saw the Lord in his golden form as Sri Gaura and fainted in ecstasy. And after this, he went all over the universe, informing all the gods of the news. In Svetadvip, he saw the supernatural pastimes of Balram, the very figure of service. After this, all the demigods began taking birth on earth, as previously mentioned by Krishna in his conversation with Rukmini. The Lord, along with Satyabhama, Rukmini, and all his eternal associates from the spiritual world, came with the luster and mood of Radharani in a golden form as Sri Gauranga. And he came to spread the Sankirtan of the holy name of Krishna. Balram came as Nityananda, Shiva came as Advaita Prabhu, and other great souls descended as his other eternal associates like Murari, Mukunda, Shivas, Raya Ramananda, Ishwarpuri, and Madhavendra. Lochandas Thakur concludes the chapter by praising the glories of his Guru, Sri Narhari Sarkar Thakur, and his nephew, Raghunandan Thakur. This Raghunandan Thakur, I think he was the one who was uh, reading different scripture to Narottam Das Thakur, if I remember right. If I'm wrong, correct me. The first chapter of the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Mangal describes the Janma Lila or birth pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The chapter first describes the advent of Lord Eternal Associates who appeared in this world before Mahaprabhu himself. Lochandas Thakur described the Lord as the remote and immediate cause of creation. Parabrahman, Sri Narayan himself. That Supreme Personality of God had descended within the womb of Sachi Devi and advented himself upon this earth. In this way, gradually, Sachi's womb grew day by day, and her body assumed a supernatural effulgence. Seeing her wonderful bodily effulgence, everyone was astonished and thought, quote, surely a great personality is about to take birth from the womb of Sri Sachi Devi, unquote. When her pregnancy was in its 6th month, one day Advaita Acharya Prabhu went to house of Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra. Arriving there, he offered his obeisances to the child in the womb of her mother Sachi and then circumambulated her. Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra could not understand the cause of Advaita's unusual behavior. In this way, Brahma, Shiva, and the other gods keep to offer their respect to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had hidden himself within the womb of Sachi Devi. Knowing well that he would soon advent himself in this world to deliver the lowest of men with the highest nectar of Krishna Prem. Detecting their presence, Sachi Devi felt great joy. When the heart of Sachi Devi was full of mercy for the whole world, that is to say, that when the most merciful Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had completely filled her heart, gradually the 10th month came. After this, taking advantage of an auspicious moment, on the full moon day in the month of Falgun, in the midst of Hari Sankirtan, Sri Gaura Sundar appeared like a golden moon from the ocean of the womb of Mother Sachi. In this way, the Lord appeared on earth, and the 10 directions were jubilant. The gods and goddesses, men and women, eager to see the moon-like face of the son of Sachi, hurried to the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. In this way, their home was transformed into Vaikuntha. Jagannath Mishra and all the residents of Navadvip who had turned out to see the divine child were all struck with wonder to see his beauty. He had a neck like a lion, arms like the trunks of the elephant, and a broad chest. His lotus feet were marked with the auspicious symbols of Lord Vishnu, a flag, thunderbolt, a rod for driving elephants. Seeing all this wonderful and superhuman manifestation of divinity in the child, the people there were all astonished. Everyone speculated about his supernatural origin, saying, quote, he is definitely not an ordinary human being, Unquote. For 8 days, the newborn child and its mother were quarantined, as is traditional for the childbirth in Bengal. And on the ninth day, a great festival was held. And at that time, all the neighbors were filled with great joy to see the boy, and their attractions for him increased drastically. The second chapter of the Adikhand describes the Lord's Balalila childhood pastime. Here, Lochandas Thakur describes how after 6 months the grain eating ceremony of Sri Gaura Sundar was held, and after this the name giving ceremony was performed. At the appearance of the Lord, the whole world was delighted. Since the Lord gave pleasure to the whole world, the Brahmanas said his name should be Vishwambar. Soon Vishwambar began to walk by holding on to Jagannath Mishra's finger with his tiny hand. The different women in the village used to decorate him with different ornaments, and they would wonder at the beautiful effulgence that emanated from the child, which was as bright as millions of moons. The moon outside can brighten the darkness of the night only slightly, but the moon of Sri Gaura Sundar can eliminate all darkness, both within and without. Sachi Devi would sing to her son while threshing wheat, and at that time all the demigods are offer prayers to her son. Seeing this, Sachi Devi was quite amazed. Sometimes she would see Gaura Hari chanting the glories of Radha Krishna with the gods and would become astonished and faint. When she heard ankle balls ringing on the bare foot of her child, again she was bewildered. Sometimes she was afraid that ghosts were causing a disturbance, and sometimes she would look in the mouth of her child and, beholding the universal form, become completely astonished. In this way, gradually Gaura Hari grew old enough to play outside, where he astounded his newfound childhood friends with his divine antics. His playmates were quite attached to him. Sachi Devi would carry the baby Gaura Hari in her arms and watch after him carefully as he ran about, to keep him from smashing everything as he played. Once he explained to Mother Sachi the nature of the things pure and impure, instructing her on the aprakita nature of Krishna, who is master of everything. While sitting on a heap of broken clay pots soiled with leftovers, he instructed his mother on jnana. Seeing his mother bewildered, he brought her some coconut fruit. In this way he performed many childhood pranks. He used to play with puppy dogs. When Sachi Devi chastised him for playing with dogs, the Gaura Hari had to give up his pet. He cried tears of anger before Sachi Devi, and at that time he bestows a divine spiritual body upon that dog while performing Hari Kirtan. The dog went to the Vaikuntha, and as Brahma, Shiva, and the other demigods saw the good fortune of the dog, they were all amazed. Sachi Devi was astonished at the activity of her son, who make her understand his supreme position as the Absolute Lord. The fourth chapter of the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Mangal describes the Lord's Poganda, or boyhood lila. Having heard Murari Gupta reciting the Yoga Shastra, the Lord mimicked his gestures and speech, making fun of him, and then began to laugh uproariously. Thus, Murari Gupta was enraged and chastised the Lord with words of anger. In return, the boy intended to express his contempt for the conclusion of the yogis went to Murari's afternoon lunch and urinated on Murari Gupta's plate. After this, he instructed Murari Gupta on the superiority of Krishna Bhakti. Finally, the author discusses Mahaprabhu's boyhood performance of Sankirtan and relates what he heard from Damodar Pandit of Murari Gupta's notes on the sannyas of Vishwarupa, the Lord's older brother. He also relates the lamentation of Sachidevi and Jagannath upon their sons taking sannyas. He also recounts many other pastimes performed by the Lord as a boy. At that time, the Lord's haircutting ceremony took place. As soon as thereafter, the day of Hate Khare, or the first holding of chalk, came. On that day, to signify the beginning of child's formal education's begin, he is given a piece of chalk and a chalkboard, upon which he is to draw the letters of the alphabet. Upon beginning his studies, the Lord was overjoyed to meet many new classmates. On the day that his son's education began, Jagannath Mishra was very pleased. That night, however, he had a dream in which a Brahmana appeared to him and told him that his son Vishwambara was Bhagwan himself. Who can educate the Supreme Lord or discipline him as a small boy? From this, Jagannath Mishra could understand the supreme position of his child. When his dream broke, he was again overwhelmed with the sentiment of parental love and soon forgot the dream. At a particular time, the sacred thread ceremony of the boy was performed. After this, there is a discussion of the 4 ages and the Yuga avatar. In Dwapar Yuga, the Supreme Lord himself, Sri Krishna, the son of Nand in Vrindavan, makes his appearance on earth. In Kali Yuga, Sri Krishna, appearing with the luster and mood of Sri Radha, adorned himself as Sri Gauranga. By performing Sankirtan, he establishes the religious principle for the age of Kali, Harinam Sankirtan. In order to establish the Yuga Dharma, he comes as a preacher, maddened with Krishna Prem. He delivers all souls with the ecstasy of love of God. By moving here and there and distributing divine love. While in his Grihastha Lila, he ordered his mother to refrain from eating grains on Ekadasi. In this way, instructed everyone to follow this injunction. Gradually, Jagannath Mishra fell ill and passed away, entering into the Lord's unmanifest pastimes. At that time, the Lord instructed Sachidevi on the fleeting nature of the man's short life within the material world. He also explained many other important principles of divine reality to her. With the passing of her husband, Sachidevi greatly lamented. Gaurahari himself also lamented the passing of his father. After this time, he began paying close attention to his studies. Haribol. Chapter 4 describes the Lord's pastime of youth and marriage. One day after school, the Lord was walking home from his teacher's house. And at that time, he met Vanmali Acharya. As they talked, the Acharya made the Lord understand that he had just been to see his mother Sachidevi, where he had been making arrangement for the Lord's wedding. Sachidevi has rebuffed him and unable to secure her permission for the match. Vanmali was a little unhappy. In this way, he was returning to his home downcast. Sri Gaurahari returned home without intimating anything of his conversations with the matchmaker. The Lord informed her of his intentions to wed, saying that she should seek out Vanmali and make the necessary arrangement for the wedding of her son. So she did so. On the order of Sachimata, Vanmali Acharya went to Vallabhacharya's house. There he informed Vallabhacharya of the Lord's intent to wed Vallabhacharya's daughter, Lakshmi Devi. Having made all the arrangement for the wedding, Sachidevi informed all her friends and relatives of the auspicious event and invited them to the occasion. Everyone floated in the waves of the joyful ocean. In this way, Sachidevi made preparation for her son's wedding. All the residents of Nadia turned out to see the wedding. The relatives saw it that all the old traditional Bengali wedding customs were followed. The Hindu ceremony of besmearing the bridegroom and bride with a paste of turmeric and then bathing them on the eve of the wedding was performed, as were many other rituals. The place where the wedding was to be performed was cleansed with sanctified water, and all the Vedic purificatory rites were observed. All this took place at the house of Vallabhacharya. At last, with great pomp and grandeur, in the midst of a great assembly of devotees, relatives and friends, the wedding of Sri Gaurahari and Lakshmi Devi was performed in the house of Vallabhacharya. The Acharya himself performed the Vedic wedding ceremony. He offered his new son-in-law sanctified water and arghya to sweeten his lotus mouth. After this, he brought Lakshmi Devi up on the wedding stage and presented her to Gaurahari. Finally, the scriptural sacrifice that is performed at the wedding took place. After this, the Brahmanas were fed sumptuous prasadam at the conclusions of the wedding, and Sri Lakshmi Devi was escorted to her new home as the bride of Sri Gaurahari. The fifth chapter of the Adi Khanda of the Chaitanya Mangal describes more of the Lord pastime of the youth, including his tour of Bengal. After some time, the Lord journeyed down the banks of Ganga, sanctified that holy river even further by the touch of his lotus footsteps. In order to provide for his new family, the Lord set out for East Bengal, where he took up the occupation of teaching. In this way, he gave his mercy to the residents of East Bengal, who lived on the bank of the Padmavati river. When he returned to Bengal, he found that Lakshmi Devi had been unable to tolerate the pain of his absence. She was bitten by the snake of separation and passed away into the unmanifest pastimes of the Lord. Sachi Devi was heartbroken and was consoled in her lamentations by Gaurahari, who glorified the sublime qualities of Lakshmi Devi. The sixth chapter of the Adikand of Chaitanya Mangal describes the arrangement made by Sachi Devi for the Lord's second wedding. To which Kasisavara, it was arranged that he was to be wed to the daughter of Sanatan Pandit, Vishnupriya Devi. Here the wedding of Vishnupriya and Gaurahari is elaborately described. The seventh chapter of the Adikand describes the Lord's journey to Gaya. Sometime after the wedding of Gaurahari and Vishnupriya Devi, the Lord, having completed his education, busied himself in his teaching work. One day, he left for Gaya to offer respect to his departed father. And it says, in Srimad Bhagavatam also, that Gaya is the place where we should offer our obeisances. As he walked down the road, everywhere the birds and animals who saw him were stunned with ecstasy upon beholding his lotus feet. After instructing a Brahmana in Krishna Bhakti, the Lord allowed a Brahmana to drink the water of his lotus feet. That Brahmana immediately became free from all his bodily distress. At that time, the Lord also instructed how the mysteries of Krishna Bhajan cannot be understood simply on the basis of one's birth in a Brahmana family. At last, arriving in Gaya, the Lord performed worship of the Devas and Pritis in order to do his duty regarding his departed father. While so engaged, he went to see the lotus feet of Vishnu deity. At that time, the Lord met that best of Vaishnavas, say Ishwarpuri. He prayed for the mercy of Ishwarpuri Prabhu, who soon thereafter initiated him in the Krishna mantra. With this, the Lord's transcendental ecstasy became manifest. And after this, he went to take darshan of the lotus feet of Vishnu. Upon seeing the Lord's holy feet, Sri Gaurahari was overwhelmed with prema and exhibited his ecstasy by laughing, singing, and dancing. Only a few days later, he returned home. From this point, the first chapter of the Madhyakhand begins. In the first chapter of the Madhyakhanda, the author described the Lord pastime as a teacher and explained how he showed mercy to his students. Praising her good fortune, the Lord shows his grace to Sachinata. Soon after this, he revealed symptoms of Mahaprem at the home of Shuklambara Brahmachari. This was the first time that he publicly revealed his absorption in Krishna Prem by showing the symptoms of a great ecstasy, such as swooning, tears shooting from the eyes, hairs of the body standing on the hand, choking up the voice, laughing madly, and so on. Performing sublime kirtan, Sri Gaurahari drowned everyone in the waves of bliss. In this way, the Supreme Lord appeared as his own devotee in order to glorify the position of bhakti. After this, the Lord began his pastimes of preaching the glories of Sri Krishna Prem. Engaging many devotees in preaching, he began organizing all the devotees, beginning with Gadadhar, as well as many devotees from within and without Bengal. One day the Lord went to the house of Srivas and his brothers. At that time the devotees could hear the flute of Krishna. At that time the Lord became overwhelmed by the mood of Srimati Radhika. In the madness of separation, he began laughing and crying. Sometimes he would fall completely silent and his mood became grave. In this way, he manifests different divine moods. At that time, a divine voice said, "O Vishwambar, you are the Lord himself. For the purpose of preaching Krishna Prem, you have descended within this world." Later at the house of Murari Gupta, the Lord would reveal his form as Varaha Avatar. At that time, Murari offered prayers before the Lord in great ecstasy, and the Lord told him to show Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, following in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. Murari Gupta wanted to see the form of Sri Ramachandra. At that time, Lord instructed him on the glories of the holy name of Krishna. At last, the Devatas, headed by Lord Brahma, appeared before the Lord, praying from Krishna Prem, and attained Krishna Prem by the mercy of Sri Gauranga. After this, the Kirtan performer Sukamlara Brahmachari began chanting Jai Radhe, Jai Govinda, and attained the mercy of Sri Chaitanya. And after this, Lochandas Thakur described the glories of Sri Gaura Gadadhar. In the second chapter of the Madhya Khanda, the author described the beauty of Sri Gauranga's divine form. The Lord performed a miracle by planting a mango seed that immediately became a mango tree with fully ripened fruit for the satisfaction of the devotees. Whoever ate the fruit of that tree was delivered from the tree of material existence. The Lord instructed Mukunda Datta on the supremacy of Krishna Bhakti and how one should give up thinking of the body, mind, and think only of the worshipable service of Krishna. The Lord gave his blessings to Murari Gupta. The Lord pastime of Kirtan at the house of Srivas Thakur are described. When a foolish Brahman remarked that the Murti of Sri Krishna is a product of Maya, the Lord jumped in the Ganga with his clothes on to purify himself from the offender. The third chapter of the Madhya Khanda describes the glories of Sri Advaita. Here the author described the Lord pastime with Advaita, how he performed kirtan in the house of Advaita, and how they embraced in ecstasy. A Brahman who tried to stop the kirtan of Mahaprabhu by attempting to frighten Srivas Pandit was bewildered by the Lord's make potency. Also describe how the Lord in the house of Srivas performed the worship known as Gada Puja, wherein the club of Vishnu is worshipped in order to invoke the Lord's power in smashing the atheist. This chapter also explained the visit paid by Advaita to Navadvip and how Advaita bowed before Sri Gauranga and danced in ecstasy before him, realizing that his prayer for Krishna's descent had been fulfilled. When Srivas Thakur inquired into the glories of Advaita, Mahaprabhu described Advaita Tattva and advised everyone to worship Sri Hari. In the fourth chapter of the Madhya Khanda, Sri Gaurahari explains the esoteric meaning of Srivas. Murari Gupta's book Raghubhiras Takatu is discussed. The Lord writes 3 Ramdas 2 on Murari's forehead. He revealed himself as Ram and ordered Rama Pandit, the brother of Srivas Pandit, to show Subhash. The devotees are sent to search for Nityananda. The Lord met Nityananda at the house of Nandana Acharya. The Lord explains the glories of Sri Nityananda and how it is that by Nityananda's mercy one may attain Krishna Prem. At that time, the Lord reveals his 6-arm, 4-arm, and 2-arm forms to Nityananda Prabhu. Hariva. The 5th chapter of the Madhya Khanda reveals how late at night the Lord was weeping tears of ecstatic love for Krishna. He discussed his dream with Sachidevi. The story of how Nityananda Prabhu spent 2 days at the house of Advaita Acharya is recounted. Nityananda Prabhu Prem is described. The worship of Advaita of Mahaprabhu in the house of Srivas Pandit is described. The meeting of the Lord and Haridas Thakur. The author also tells how Nityananda's Kupin was saved by Mahaprabhu, who later had the devotees wear it as a kavach. Mahaprabhu's trance and the devotees' separation from the Lord is also described. The ecstasy of the devotees upon the Lord's reawaken is also described. The 6th chapter of the Madhya Khanda discussed the following subjects. How Gaura Hari enjoyed pastimes of Prem in the midst of the devotees, his meeting with Haridas Thakur, his visit at the house of Advaita, his order to Advaita to preach Krishna Prem without any considerations of fitness and unfitness, his order to all the devotees to preach Nama Prema and thus deliver everyone, the effect of Nama Bhash, how the Lord would wander through the streets of Nadia performing Nama Kirtan, the story of the deliverance of Jagai and Madhai. After this, the author glorifies the mercy of Sri Nityananda and Sri Gauranga. The 7th chapter of the Madhya Khanda describes the following subjects. How the Lord cast his merciful glance upon the son of an East Bengal Brahmana named Vanmali. The Brahmana, seeing the Shyamsundar form of the Lord, offered many prayers to Sri Gauranga. After this, the Lord revealed his Narsimha manifestation at the house of Srivas. He bestowed mercy upon a follower of Shiva. After a Brahman lady touched his feet, he jumped into the Gangas. The Lord gave instruction regarding the worship of Sri Hari. His mercy towards Srivas is described as are Mukunda's prayers, the Lord's manifestations of his Godhead, and Srivas Pandit's Abhishek of Mahaprabhu. The author glorification the qualities of Sri Gauranga and his instructions on the worship of Sri Gauranga conclude the chapter. The 8th chapter of the Madhyama Khanda describes the following subjects. How the envious Brahmana, who was stricken with leprosy, prayed for forgiveness in order to become freed from the sin of Vaishnava Aparadha and was delivered by the mercy of Srivas Thakur. How a Brahmana was forbidden to enter the Lord's nocturnal kirtan, and how the Lord danced in ecstasy when the Brahmana then cursed the Lord never to enjoy the pleasure of samsara. How the Lord in the mood of Balram demanded honey is described. The assembly of the devotee at the house of Advaita is described. The visit of the devotees headed by Acharya Ratna is recorded. How all of them saw the Lord's manifestations of Balram and bathed in Ganga is also described. The 9th chapter of the Madhya Khanda of Sri Chaitanya Mangal records the following subjects. The Lord's manifestations of Varaha. How the devotees headed by Advaita were ordered to preach and perform Sankirtan. How the mood and qualities of the gopis was glorified in Kirtan. How Srivas in the dress of Ananda glorified Gadadhar Pandit. A discussion of the divine correlation between Sri Gadadhar and Sri Radhika. Thakur Haridas visit, the ecstasy of Sankirtan. The Lord made manifestation of the mood of Vaikuntha opulence. How the Lord in the dress of Lakshmi Devi rendered service to the Lord in great ecstasy. And how Lord expressed the inner mood of the personality of Godhead. The 10th chapter of the Madhyama Khanda of Chaitanya Mangal describes the following. The Lord tells Srivas of the different religious principles for the different ages and how Sankirtan is the best religious principle in the age of Kali. In the mood of Sri Radha, the Lord began asking, where is Vrindavan? Where is Lalita? In great anxiety, Murari Gupta consoled him and they all performed Kirtan. In a dream, Sachi Devi sees Gaurahari receive the sannyas mantra from Keshava Bharti. The Lord's powerful separation from Krishna is described. Worried that the Lord will take sannyas, the devotees are heartbroken. Mahaprabhu consoles the devotees. The 11th chapter of Madhya Khanda describes the following. Upon hearing of the Lord's sannyas, Sachi Devi's lamentation, her entreaty to Gaurahari to remain a Grihastha, the Lord's advice to everyone to worship Krishna, his different attempts to console his mother, and his revelation of the divine form of Krishna to her. The 12th chapter of the Madhyama Khanda discusses the following subjects. The lamentation of Vishnu Priya Devi, the Lord's sweet words of pacification to her, and his instructions regarding divine reality, as well as his revelation of his four-handed Narayan form. The visit by Srivas and Murari, the Lord's attempt to pacify them. The 13th chapter describes the following. The Lord's attempt to console the devotees and his instructions on different truths with the aim to take sannyas. He swims across the Ganga and meets Kesava Bharti at Katwa. Sachi Mata and Vishnu Priya faint. Nityanand Prabhu tries to pacify them. Headed by Chandrasekhar Acharya and Damodar Pandit, all the devotees follow Nityanand Prabhu to Katwa, where the sannyas is taking place. The Lord asks for the sannyas mantra from Keshava Bharti. The Lord first gives the sannyas mantra to Bharti and then hears it from him. The lamentation of all the devotees at the sannyas of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord attempts to pacify them. The Lord's eagerness for Krishna Bhakti, the giving of the name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. At that conclusion of sannyas, the Lord wandering half mad in the Radha Desh. The 14th chapter describes how Chandrasekhar returned from Katwa to Nadia, bearing news to Sachimata and Vishnupriya. Their lamentation, Nityanand Prabhu causes Mahaprabhu to detour to Santipur. The Lords visit there. Nityananda's conversation with Sachidevi. The devotees of Nadia go to the house of Advaita in Santipur to see the Lord. The Lord reciprocation of the affection with the residents of Nadia and their separation. The 15th chapter describes the Lord's deliverance of all souls through the performance of Nam Sankirtan, and how he bestowed upon all the jivas the supreme goal of life. After this, his journey to Jagannath Puri is described, as well as the humility of Haridas Thakur. The exodus of devotees who went to Puri to be with the Lord, his sweet words of consolation, how the Lord used to chant the sloka, Rama Raghava Rakshama. On his way to Puri, how Nityanand Prabhu broke his sannyasa danda, and how the Lord manifested his pastimes of anger with Nityananda after the breaking of his danda. The 16th chapter of the Madhyama Khanda describes how, on the way to Jagannath Puri, the devotees bathe in a place called Brahmakunda. How they went to Ramuna and had darshan of the Lord there. How the Lord danced before the Gopal deity. How after bathing in the Vaitarani river, they had darshan of the Varahadev. How the Lord went to Yajpura. How the Lord took darshan of the Sivalinga there. Then from Brahmakunda, he visited Nabhigaya and Sivanagara. How he received the darshan of the Shirodaksai Vishnu. How in grove of the mangoes, he took up the question of Shiva Prasad and prayers to Shiva. After this, how he went from Kapoteswara and bathed in the Bhargavi river. How the Lord fainted before the Jagannath deities while having darshan there. His visit to the house of Sarvabhauma. How the Lord will go from house of Sarvabhauma, take a position west to the Garuda Stam and see the deity of Lord Jagannath. How Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and the Lord discussed Vedanta, and how Sarvabhauma was converted, and how Lord reveals his sixth form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. I remember this place was very narrow, long, and you stand in the line, go in the room, and there is a wonderful sixth form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. From here, the Sesa Khanda begins. 3 chapters, right? The first chapter of the Sesa Khanda describes the Lord's Kirtan pastime in which Sarvabhauma took part, the Lord's tour of South India, and his journey to Setubandh, his mercy to Vasudeva Vipra, the Brahmana who had leprosy, the Lord's visit to Jiyada Narsimha and its ancient history, the Lord's meeting with Ramanand Roy on the bank of the Godavari, Ramanand's vision of the Mahaprabhu's dual future as a Rasaraj and Mahabharat, the Lord's visit to Panchavati and Srirangam, how he bestowed mercy on Trimalla Bhatt, his 4-month stay in Srirangam during the period of the Chaturmas, and his meeting with Paramanand Puri, the prayers by Paramanand Puri to Gaura Bhagwan. He stayed with Venkata Bhatt, the father of the Gopal Bhatt Goswami. He was the main priest at the Rameswar temple at that time. The second chapter of the Sesakan describes the following: how the Lord continued on his South Indian tour and delivered the 7 trees that had been standing since the time of Lalaram. Haribol. How at Setuban in great ecstasy, the Lord chanted the names of Ram, Lakshman, Sita, and Hanuman. How the Lord returned to Alakananta, Alalanath by way of the Godavari, his return to Jagannath Puri, his visit to Mathura, his meeting with Rupa and Sanatan, how with Balabhadra Bhattacharya he wandered down the banks of the Yamuna and through the 12 forests of Vrindavan. The third and the final chapter of the Sesakand of the Chaitanya Mangal records how the Lord returned to Jagannath Puri, the Lord stepped to Gauda Des, how he passed through Indra Des, how he stopped in Kulia, how everyone in the Navadvip turned out to see the Lord, how they prayed for his mercy, and he bestows amnesty on all. How to satisfy his mother's desire, he went to Navadvip and instructed her on of Krishna Bhajan. How the Lord went to Santipur where he visited Sri Advaita, his kirtan there, and how the Lord left Santipur, his return to Jagannath Puri. How he visited the deity of Jagannath, how he performed kirtan day and night, how King Prataparudra attained the Lord mercy, his revelation of the six arm form to Prataparudra Raja, the Dravidian Brahmana who came to visit the Lord, how he was fasting for 7 days, and how he was delivered by the Lord's mercy. In the Chaitanya Mangal, Lochandas Thakur mentioned the details of certain pastimes not revealed by Vrindavan Das Thakur. For example, Vrindavan Das Thakur does not record the conversation that took place between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Vishnupriya Devi just before the Lord left to take sannyas. But Lochandas Thakur described this as follows. Seeing Mahaprabhu's eagerness to take sannyas, the moon-faced Vishnupriya Devi said, with her voice choked in emotion, quote, "Tell me, O Prananath, Lord of my life, and I shall take your order upon my head. Will you take sannyas? I have heard this rumor being circulated among the people in general. Hearing this, my heart is broken. If it is true, I shall enter into the fire. You are the treasure of my life. Your beautiful form is always ever fresh and newly youthful. Will you give up everything and go away? If I am deprived of your association, I might as well give up my life by drinking poison." And I remember we saw the one temple when we visited to South India. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave that chappal and told Vishnupriya to worship, and she will get the association of him. And that chapel is still there, continuously worshipped. Wonderful place. Hearing the pitiful words of lamentation spoken by Vishnupriya Devi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled a little and he spoke as follows, quote, "Listen, how fortunate the Lochandas Thakur is, He knew everything. Listen, O you who are dear as life itself, please don't be in any anxiety. There is no need to worry at all. What I am about to say is for your own benefit. Please Hear me attentively. With your whole mind, whatever you see in this world is all false. This instructions is good for us. The only truth is Bhagwan and the Vaishnavas. Without that, whatever you see is all illusion. Know this for a fact. Sons, wives, husbands, ladies, fathers, mothers, and everything else, all these relationships are illusory. They are temporary and transitional. In one lifetime, we have one set of sons, wives, husbands, mothers, and fathers. And in one next life, this changes. Other than the lotus feet of Krishna, we have no real family. Everything else that we see as our family is an illusion of Maya. What we see as men and women is unreal. Beneath the surface of all souls are spiritual energy. The relationship between man and woman is an illusory connection of Maya. Sri Krishna is the real husband of everyone. He is the master. Everything else is material. But unfortunately, this is not understood by the people in general. The soul is embedded in the mixture of semen and blood from which it is born into a body composed of stool and urine. In this way, the soul moves upon this earth in ignorance. From boyhood to youth to old age, we suffer different miseries, all the while mistaking the housing of this body as our real self. Absorbed in false ego, we make friends, maintain attachments, suffering abuse, and are gradually cheated by old age. Even hearing the truth, however, still our eyes are blind. And while our suffering in the material world brings us to tears, we never worship Govinda. What a wonderful message to Vishnu Priya and to all of us. More for all of us. This was just he's using the Vishnu Priya as an instrument. Forsaking Krishna's service, we maintain these bodies in the material world of birth and death, trapped in the bondage of Maya. Mad with false ego, we have forgotten our Lord, and so we ensure our passage to hell. Your name is Vishnu Priya. However, fulfill the real purport of Vishnu Priya and do not lament for what is false. Remembering what I have said here, cast your worries at distance and always think of Krishna within your heart, day and night. And that's the reason we have created the day bisecting from 3 a.m. to 7 p.m. And as we will advance more, we will break down even in a little sections, so we can see where we're utilizing every time in Krishna service before we leave this world. Start utilizing that chart. Put those activities and put the cross mark if you have done every single day. And every day, what time you go to the bed, what time you get up. Keep the chart and end on the Sundays. And when the week is over, you can dwell on it, how you are performing. Don't take up too many things that you cannot maintain. Start slow and then you can encourage always. And then when the month is over, You put all 4 pages together and see how it is. When the year is over, you put all the pages together and see how you have done past the 1 year. We need to have some record of our activities. And if we have set the goals, then and then we will achieve it. If you don't have a goal, we will pass the time like anything. We have already passed for myself 76 years, wastage of the time. What can we do? Let's hear some more instructions. Having conveyed all this divine instruction to Vishnupriya Devi, the Supreme Lord Sri Gaurasundar revealed to her his four-arm form, thus making her understand his absolute position. At that time, he told Vishnupriya Devi, quote, "You see before you the Supreme Lord. Cast your meek lamentation away," unquote. At this, Vishnupriya Devi became joyful within. Her grief and pain vanished, and her heart became blissful upon suddenly seeing the Lord's four-armed form. So if we keep the Krishna within our heart and mind, we can also remain always joyful. Despite so many disturbances, will always be there in material world. Don't think that everything will run so smoothly. This is not the place for smooth life. This is the life in the material world is full of miseries. So after hearing the instruction of the Lord and seeing his absolute form, Vishnupriya cast off her bewilderment. But her mentality of taking the Lord as her husband was intact. At that point, she fell at the lotus feet of the Lord and said, quote, "O Lord, please listen to my entreaty. Falling at your feet again and again, I implore you to accept my humble submission. I'm certainly the lowest, having taken birth in this world of samsara. But you are my most dear Lord of life. This is my only wealth. Without you, I have nothing. Without your service, I will certainly go down." So saying this, Vishnupriya Devi began loudly weeping, sobbing and sobbing again and again in ever-increasing frenzy of sorrow. Seeing the affliction of the someone so dear, the Lord bestowed his merciful glance upon Vishnupriya Devi, embracing her with his eyes, and so giving her his mercy. All these transcendental things can happen, Every yanga of the Lords can perform any yanga's activities. So sweet glance of the Lord is only thing we need. And at that time, the Lord says, "Listen, O Vishnupriya Devi, and give close attention to my answer to your verse. I shall go there and there, but wherever I go, I shall still remain at your place. This truth I have spoken with great determination." Haribol. So upon hearing the order of the Lord, Vishnupriya Devi could understand that the Lord is supremely independent. At that time she said, quote, "You must do what makes you happy. Let no one be an obstacle to your divine mission." Haribol. Addressing the Lord in this way, Vishnupriya tearfully averted her eyes from the Lord's glance and fell silent. Thus went the conversation between the Lord and Vishnupriya, which is very painful to hear. Haribol. This is reported by Locana Thakur, who also sing the glories of Sri Gauranga and Nityananda in the following beautiful song. Parama Karuna Poham Dvijana Nitai Gaura Chandra Saba Avatara Sarasiromani Kevala Ananda Kanda Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrita Viswasa Kori Visayacharya Sera Se Majiya Mukha Bolo Hari Hari Dekho Re Bhai Tribhuvan Nai Emona Doyala Data Pashu Paki Jure Prasanna Vidure Suniyar Guna Gantha Sansara Majiya Rahile Pariya Sepade Nahilo Ash Apana Kurama Bhuj Bunjaye Samana Kohiya Lochana Das. This song was especially dear to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who translated as follows. This is wonderful. This is a song by Locana Thakur. Locana declared that the two lords, Nitai Gaurachandra, Lord Nitai and Lord Chaitanya, are extremely merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of this incarnation is that prosecuting their way of self-realization is simply joyful. For they introduce chanting and dancing. There are many incarnations like Lord Ram and even Krishna, who taught Bhagavad Gita, which requires knowledge and understanding. But Lord Chaitanya introduced a process which is simply joyful. Simply chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and dance in ecstasy. Therefore, Locana requests everyone hear this, the urge of Locana Thakur, and described by our founder Acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So they have invested all their mercy into these words if we take it seriously to our hearts. Quote, my dear brother and sisters, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. And that can be seen by our punctuality, how serious we are for our devotional practice. That's what Krishna wants to see in us. Topmost priority of our lives should go there. At least in the morning, 2 o'clock, what else has to be done? Nothing. We just waste the time by lying down in the bed, gaining zero, nothing. Why do we want to waste that valuable time? Wake up early in the morning and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Don't think that this chanting and dancing will not lead to the desired goal. It will. It is the assurance of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one will get all perfection by this simple process, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, one must chant with firm faith and conviction. But what is the process? If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. It is sure that he will reach the desired goal. One simply has to chant Hari Hari without any motive of sense gratification. Lochandas says finally, quote, "My dear brother and sister, you just try and examine this. Give us a little try to become serious for, when we want to pass the material exams. How many day and night we used to study? We used to, nowadays we see the student, they wake up until 3 o'clock in the morning studying. Can we not do it for some time? And if we don't do it, remember, we'll have to take the life of different pieces of life that is ahead of us if we don't become serious. Pretty soon we will be in the body of a dog or a hog, who knows what it's. So Lochanda's final words, listen carefully. Within these three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda, because their merciful qualities are so great that they make even birds and beasts cry. What to speak of the human being? Actually, when Lord Chaitanya passed through the forest known as Jharikhanda, the tigers, elephants, snakes, deer, and all other animals joined him in chanting Hare Krishna. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given, he just gives the each stanza which is in relations to holy name, from the beginning stage to the prema stage, nothing else. He didn't write any other books. Just perfect those 8 stanzas in your life. Even the animal can join, what to speak of a human being. Of course, it is not possible for ordinary man to induce animal to chant. But if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could inspire animals to chant, at least we can encourage other human beings to adopt this path of Hare Krishna mantra chanting. We are so many of us are joining. We are getting the benefit. Why can't we just invite our friend? Just tell them to come and join. At least for 10 minutes, one round, 15 minutes. Do something to other living being. It is so nice that even the most stone-hearted man will get melted by hearing this transcendental sound vibration. It is so nice that even stone will get melted. But Lochandas Thakur regrets that he is entrapped by sense gratification. This is the position I was talking about, that we should feel worthless, unworthy, servant of the servant of the servant. We have no good qualification, nothing. Why we should be proud of anything in our life? Everything has been given by Krishna, not by our own intelligence. All the education you receive, do you think that because you are smart on your own? Then show your smartness in worshiping Krishna. Remain steadfast. That's real intelligence. That's real knowledge. So that over there, that education. Haribo. Now, Lochandas is telling the final thing. Quote, "My dear mind, you are entrapped in this sense gratification process, and you have no attraction whatsoever for chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. What we are doing is mechanical, and we can see from the pronunciation, we just want to finish 16 rounds and put the japa bag at one place until next morning. That is not the chanting with love and devotion. Since you have no attractions for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, what can I say? Lochandas says, can simply think of my misfortune. Yamraj, the superintendent of that, is punishing me. but not allowing me to be attracted by this moment. And Lochan Das Thakur lived 105 years. Amazing. We just saw the news that Jimmy Carter, the president of US, died with 100-year-old, which is very good. But Lochan Das Thakur lived for 105 years. Glorious life. And this is what it is meant to dwell into the life of the Vaishnavas, great Vaishnava. It gave us the great impetus to become serious in our devotional life. Otherwise, this we take it for granted. We go to the temple, worship maybe 1 or 2 times a week, attend the Sunday feast, put the tilak and kurta and dhoti and saris and feel we'll be delivered. Not possible. Not possible. You need to have, Rupa Goswami has says, not with any past activity or anything, only one thing, intense greed. The greed that we have for material opulences, that greed need to be transformed for the Krishna in much greater way, intense, not just the greed. Intense greed is required to attain the love of Krishna. It is not easy, but it is possible. In one point, it is very difficult, but at the same time, it's very easy. If you sincerely pray to the divine couple and remain steadfast in your practice, slowly and slowly, all these layers of ignorance, illusion, and misgiving will be taken off from our consciousness, and you will be able to see your real picture, who you are, and what you need to do in your life. Once you know, and that's the reason it says, why we have no attractions for anything, qualities or the pastime. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj says very clearly, unless and until you know your form, who you are in relation to Krishna, you will never able to understand the form of Krishna. No matter how much you will stand there in the front of the deities, you will never get anything from there. Until you know your form, then you will be able to see Krishna, not in a deity form. And then we should know our eternal activity. And in the kingdom of God, these activities are very sublime and very little. You don't have to do so many hard work. Just release, do with love and devotion. And once we know our eternal duties, what we are going to do when we go to the spiritual world, then and then we will be able to understand the activities of Krishna. And the way we will live our life, the different engagement with our superiors, unless we have the clear vision, we will never be able to understand any pastimes of Krishna. So if you think just by reading and memorizing the pastime we have understood, I don't think so. We read Bhagavad Gita. I was really heavy during this morning time. Then we read Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly says what we need to do. There is no questions. Everything is so perfectly clear that as you surrender to me, I will protect you. That's his word. And he said, my devotee never perish. He gave the confirmation. But we get entangled into the 6 enemies. Moh, Maya, lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy. This is our principle of our life. And we call ourselves a devotee. That's the same. We should never pose ourselves better than anybody else if we want to make advancement in spiritual life. We are so much fallen. How can we be proud of anything? It's just because of our total ignorance, nothing else, an illusion. But this is The Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj has clearly stated those things. So don't think by learning the scriptures and becoming a profound scholar of our philosophy will attain the love of God. It's necessary. Why? Because if we don't read about the person's Krishna, how do we love him? Even in the material world, and the partner right now in Western world is so worse even. I think in India the arranged marriage was much better. I think the divorce rate during the arranged marriage was absolutely minimal. Hardly you will see the case of divorce in our culture. And now people are spending 2 years, 3 years. They live together, they travel together, they try to know each other. But the greatest percentage of the divorce is happening. Understand what we are doing is totally wrong. We are moving in opposite direction than what we need to. So one thing we can do, whatever we are doing, don't do it. And do what our Acharya says. Do reverse 180-degree turn. If you really want to take up this process, it's required. Look at this great personality, how much hard work they put it. The Brahmana, it says that, he fasted for 7 days. What's wrong with us fasting of 1 day total when we cannot maintain our sadhana? Fast it. Is it not possible? It's possible. You survive without food. We don't need it. That is the greatness of Hanuman Prasad Swami Maharaj. I think last visit or before that visit, I think I gave the Bhagavatam class and Maharaj was there. And then I was sitting with Maharaj and talking in the temple room in front of the deities, different thing. Because Maharaj also wake up early 1:17 a.m. every single day and chant the holy name. Give so much aspiration. Whenever I send something, Maharaj always respond. So kind-hearted. So then we were talking, and then Devendra Krishna Prabhu, he came, and I think they knows that Maharaj may have not eaten day before. So they were asking Maharaj, what would you like to have for the breakfast? And Maharaj's response was, I still don't feel hungry. I don't need anything. Just see that. Do we really hungry when we sit down? 3 times, big plates. And then feel that, I cannot wake up in the morning. Why? You know it why. Eating too much, sleeping too much. Everything what we do is nonsense. Actually, we should reduce everything of a necessity of our life to the bare minimum and keep nice thing. The day I said, I'm gonna wipe up all the baseboard on all the room. All the wall has the wood baseboard. So when I was running the Dunkin' Donut, they teach all this cleanliness standard. That before you eat any restaurant, you go in the restroom and see how clean they are keeping before you take anything from that restaurant. So this thing, it stick in my mind. So I take it one by one, like other time I say I clean all my blind with nice brush. Then other day I clean all my baseboard top. It's filled with all the picture you are hanging in your house. Have you dust them? You put your finger and you will see nothing but the dust. And we say, look at my room with all this Krishna conscious picture. Have you cleaned that frame and the glasses? When did you clean it? Ask yourself. Why you want to have a big house when you cannot maintain cleanliness? Take these things seriously. I just always look for it that, hey, I don't want to have any dirt in my room. or in the house, matter of fact. And take turn. Other day I did it. Then I also, see that when you have the door frame, you go on the top of the door frame and put your finger and see that how clean are you keeping. A lot of dirt is on the top of the door frame. That dirt you are taking into inhaling. And that's why we are becoming sick. We don't keep the things clean. And we see that when our Guru Maharaj come, how clean we make that room. It is only for Guru Maharaj. That's the standard. No, you should keep your house at all the time, clean in all respects. We do so many things, but we do it that we feel that it is only when our Guru Maharaj come we have to. Why don't you keep your house like that every single day? There is my son, he work, he's poor boy. He works so hard in that cardiac ICU, 13, 14 hours, sometimes 16 hours, if the patient is so sick. And he used to put the shoes, and I said, no, I want you to put in the closets. So then I keep on telling him, but still once in a while I saw. So then yesterday I give him a warning that, look, I don't mind if you park over here. You have to give me $5 because I'm going to charge you to put where that shoes belong, and I'm going to charge you $5. For the last 3 days, I haven't seen his shoes. So make some rules in the house, not that it's like my Guru Maharaj used to say that we are living in a rat hole, so dirty and so filthy. What can I say? Wash your car. How soon are you washing your even japa bag? Ask yourself, when did you wash it last time? And iron it. I have pairs of white japa bag, and I iron them. That's what I'm supposed to do today. I have to iron my clothes today. I forgot. It's already 7:43 today, but it was so enlivening, right? To dwell in the life of Locana Thakur. So any question, comment, correction, chastisement before we close?